At 2:11 a.m., I found myself ankle deep in what used to be my carrot rows. Only now it was a full-blown river fast enough to send a parade of plastic flamingos bobbing along like refugees from a bad yard sale, and just up the hill an SUV horn started blaring, somebody screaming out in pure panic. Not the Pottery Barn rug. Windows down there looked like geysers shooting water straight into the night, and I just stood there stunned, thinking if karma had a sense of humor, this was it. You want to know how it got that bad? Well, I'm Grant Voigt. I keep to myself, grow old-fashioned vegetables on 5 acres next to Primrose Bluff. I'm the guy who shows up at the Saturday market radio, turned down, always waving with 2 fingers off the tractor. My only real brush with drama came wearing mud boots until the HOA president, Lorene Cobb, decided I was in her way. Folks around here call her the Drizzle Warden. Pearls by day, reflective vest by night, and she runs Birchway Estates like a cruise ship stuck at DEFCON 2. Lorene's mission in life was reclaiming the neighborhood views, which was code for your windbreak trees, your vegetables, and basically your entire existence offend my sunset. First, she sent me letters unapproved water features, she wrote. What she meant was my pond, which I'd had since 1998 with every permit in the county. Next came her ditch inspection, waving a selfie stick around announcing it aesthetic non-compliance. I wish I was kidding. Then she got the HOA board together to install a so-called community beautification swale, which is HOA for we're digging a trench through your life and not asking. One morning I woke up to landscapers carving a glittering canal along my property line lined with fake river rock, and the kicker, they'd sloped the whole thing so every drop of rain from 6 cul-de-sacs shot straight for my beets. I watched Lorene stand there with a ribbon and novelty scissors, grinning like she'd opened a shopping mall, and my carrots wilted right there in the field. Months of work drowned overnight. I measured the grade myself, took photos, documented every last inch. The slope wasn't an accident. It was targeted, intentional. She'd weaponized gravity against me. And then came the storm. July tantrum throwing, rolling in slow but mean, turning every gutter into a violin. Rain so thick you couldn't see 10 feet ahead. I'm out there with sandbags, opening the standpipe, calling the county watermaster. The guy pulls up in a mud-splattered F-250, looks at what the HOA has done, and asks me, real gentle, who decided gravity should trespass? I point up the hill to Lorene's Tudor palace, fairy lights shining like a crime scene. He starts snapping pictures, measuring the grade, and calls in floodplain management. While they're chalking arrows all over the street to map the water flow, Lorene storms out, clipboard in hand, shouting, "You can't be on HOA property." The county badge answers for me. The inspector just holds up his credentials, tells her, "Ma'am, we're investigating illegal water diversion. Step back, please." Turned out they had the receipt, state statute, county ordinance, and a conservation easement protecting my ditch, which the HOA had blocked with decorative bark. They found downspouts illegally tied into the beautification swale, turning regular rain into an attack. But the real kicker, they discovered a secret pump sending storm water from the HOA retention pond straight into my lower field. That's right, my carrots were their emergency drainage plan. The inspector's pen flew over the citation so fast I swear smoke was coming off the paper. Immediate breach of the bark dam, restoration of the grade, all under county supervision and all at the HOA's expense. Lorene just stood there, spluttering like a tea kettle about to blow. But it wasn't over. The list of violations just kept growing: unpermitted grading, illegal diversion, destruction of protected wetlands, interference with natural drainage patterns, each one with fines attached. Then, right when karma punched in, the county crew popped the bark dam with a giant slurp, and all that water stopped for half a second, looked downhill, then remembered the topo map. It changed direction, shot sideways, hit the HOA's brand new trench, and made a beeline for Birchway Estates, right for Lorene's house, which sat in the lowest dip of the whole neighborhood like a greedy little spoon. I watched as that swale turned into a bobsled track, water leaping the curb, cannonballing through her egress window, and filling her finished basement so fast. Her home theater looked like SeaWorld, just minus the dolphins. From inside, I heard a sound I'll never forget, like a tea kettle learning to swear. By dawn, her restoration hardware sectional was doing laps around the room. Neighbors filmed it from their driveways, the county filmed for evidence, and me, I just quietly started a folder labeled Court on my laptop. The water rushed through so hard it lifted her custom wine fridge and sent it floating. Persian rugs turned into magic carpets. Home gym equipment became modern art, all submerged in muddy water. Lorene stood out front in designer pajamas and rain boots, staring through the window like she was watching her own life go down the drain, which, honestly, she was. 2 weeks later, my fields were fixed, regraded, and reseeded, all paid for by the HOA. The board suspended Lorene. Their new term was pending hydrological review, which I guess sounds fancier than you're benched for flooding the neighbors. The county fined the HOA, forced them into a permanent restoration plan, and required Lorene to complete a stormwater management course before she could ever touch an HOA position again. Insurance. Yeah, they denied her claim. Man-made flood event not covered. She tried suing the contractor, but he pulled out a stack of emails, subject lines like "Rear Lean Secret River" and "Per your instructions to redirect water." She settled quietly like a puddle drying up in August. When the dust settled, the HOA had to cough up $47,000 in fines. Lorene owed $18,000 for the restoration, and her basement repairs came out to more than $60,000 all out of pocket. And you better believe my carrots came back crunchy as an alibi. I dropped off a basket at the HOA office with a card that said "Best enjoyed uphill." The new president shook my hand, promised they had already scheduled a real drainage consultation. The county posted their final report online, and it became mandatory reading for every HOA board in 3 counties a how not to manage runoff manual. Lorene's name was in there 37 times, tied to specific violations. She moved out 3 months later, sold her palace for way below market value. Water damage has a way of sticking to a listing. At the farmer's market, folks lined up for my vegetables, some just wanting to say they'd heard the story. One woman bought extra carrots, winked, and said, "These aren't just vegetables, they're symbols of justice." I smiled, but she wasn't wrong. Sometimes the best revenge grows in rows and feeds families, proving that not even an HOA president can outvote the laws of physics. And you know what? The county investigation dug up even more dirt. Turns out Lorene had been getting kickbacks from the landscapers, 15% of every beautification project straight into her own Garden Excellence Fund. Contractors testified that she told them in person to angle the drainage toward my land, even drawing up diagrams on cocktail napkins at the country club. One contractor kept those napkins. They ended up as evidence exhibit A through F in civil court. And her husband, Harold, soft-spoken numbers guy, he found her slush fund while prepping the insurance claim. She'd been skimming from the budget for years, hiding nearly 30 grand. Harold's lawyer served divorce papers the same day the county handed down their final citation. He told neighbors he'd always wondered how she managed those monthly spa retreats. The State Water Board used our case as a teaching moment, made every HOA in the county attend water management seminars. Lorene's replacement was the first to sign up, took pages of notes, and promised never to let beautification override common sense again. But here's the real twist: Lorene had pulled this stunt before in 2 other neighborhoods. Mysterious floods that stopped the moment she left the board. Folks from Riverside Commons even testified, said she tried the same thing there, but got caught early and forced to resign. This was her pattern, not some accident, but years of practiced, deliberate sabotage. The morning after the flood, I found Lorene standing at my fence, watching muddy tracks where water had carved a new channel through her perfect lawn. She turned to me, tears mixing with rain, and just whispered, "I just wanted a nice view." I looked her dead in the eye and said, Views don't require drowning your neighbors. For the first time, I think it really hit her, the damage, the end of her reign, as the drizzle warden washed away by her own storm. 6 months later, the county's final judgment came down. Not just fines and costs, but a permanent ban from any HOA board in the state. I was there in the courtroom when the judge said, "Your actions showed a blatant disregard for property rights, environmental law, and basic neighborly conduct." Lorene sat there, frozen mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water, as the gavel came down. Some folks call it justice, others call it karma, but around here we just call it common sense finally catching up. So what do you think? Should a neighbor's ambition ever be allowed to flood somebody else's future? Ever seen an HOA overstep this bad? Or had your own battle with beautification gone wrong? Drop your story below. Let's see where the river of opinions flows. And hey, if you believe real justice grows from the ground up, hit share. Let folks know, because sometimes the best lessons come from a row of stubborn carrots and a storm that finally washed the truth out into the open.